Welcome to Understanding Stress, Breaking the Stress Cycle, a guide to mental clarity and balance, written by Lott, a registered nurse. Over the next few minutes I'll walk you through the real science of stress and how to find your calm. Let's begin. For many years, I struggled silently with panic attacks, those sudden waves of overwhelming fear that left me feeling powerless and disconnected from myself. In those moments, breathlessness was not just a physical sensation, it was a metaphor for the way anxiety constricted my spirit and clouded my clarity. Like so many others, I searched for relief through various means, yet often found that conventional approaches alone did not fully address the deep ache beneath the surface. Understanding stress in modern life. Everyday stressors. Stress is a near-constant companion in contemporary life, changing our well-being and stemming from many origins. It has a typical reaction to demands, manifesting as pressures from the world or from our inner thoughts and feelings. Acknowledging this dual nature, external and internal, is essential for managing it. This section examines the nature of stress, its roots in our biology, and how these responses are expressed differently across societies because of norms and socio-economic situations. We will look at modern sources of stress, from constant connectivity and work overload to financial worries and health concerns, and how these issues create chronic stress. The impact of stress on our work, our families, and our health will be examined, alongside coping strategies and ways to manage it effectively, from better time management to long-term financial planning. Understanding the multifaceted nature of stress is the first step in mitigating its potentially harmful effects on our lives. Introduction to stress. In the contemporary world, stress has become an almost ubiquitous presence, influencing our well-being in profound ways. It has an intrinsic aspect of our daily lives, originating from a collection of sources. Stress, at its heart, is a common reaction to demands, appearing as outside forces from our surroundings or as internal pressures from our own thoughts and feelings. This dual characteristic of stress, both external and internal, calls for a complete strategy for both understanding and controlling it. Stress can be understood as the body's instinctive answer to certain requirements and happenings. The body counters when changes or difficulties present themselves, which triggers physical, emotional, and behavioral reactions. These reactions are elements of the body's defense mechanism, made to protect it from damage. If stress turns into a long-lasting state, it could create damaging consequences for wellness. The causes of stress are extensive, failed into external and internal categories. External pressures might include work-related needs, monetary troubles, and social commitments. Internal pressures can result from emotions, thoughts, and personal expectations. Awareness of these differing origins of stress is vital to building successful coping tactics. Grasping how people react to stress stands for the starting point toward effectively controlling it. This entails recognizing the physical, emotional, and behavioral indications of stress, for example, irritability, fatigue, and worry. By noticing these indications, people can take preemptive procedures to deal with stress before it rises into more severe health problems. The results of uncontrolled stress may have widespread and negative effects on physical and mental wellness. Long-term stress has been associated with many medical issues, such as anxiety disorders, cardiovascular disease, and depression. Unmanaged stress could impair cognitive functions, causing lowered production and efficiency in daily activities and work. Successful stress management starts by recognizing its influence and adopting initiative-taking steps to deal with it. This includes designing specific mitigation strategies designed to address the individual's particular sources of stress and response patterns. Practices like cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness, and physical activity could be helpful in dealing with stress and boosting general well-being. Stress, a universal constant. Stress is an intrinsic part of being human, touching everyone's life in some role. It is not limited by geography, age, or social standing. At its core, stress functions as a fundamental reaction to perceived threats, an innate survival mechanism often described as the fight-or-flight response. This biological programming prepares us to confront or evade danger. This preparation is consistent across populations. The biological basis. This fight-or-flight response is rooted deeply in our biology, started by the release of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Ideally, this response is adaptive, preparing individuals to respond to immediate dangers. In young, healthy people, short bursts of intense pressure can sharpen focus and improve performance. The makeup of society. Although the biological reaction to pressure may be uniform, how it is perceived and shown varies because of social standards. Societies differ widely in their tolerance for strain, the accepted ways of expressing it, and the coping strategies that are encouraged. Some may see feeling pressured as a weakness, while others consider it a normal reaction to difficult conditions. These standards not only mold the feeling and display of pressure but also affect the methods employed to oversee it. This variance reveals a broad range of stress management methods globally. Socioeconomic realities. Socioeconomic conditions, like financial stability and equal opportunity, exert a noticeable influence, sometimes intensifying pressure, particularly for those in disadvantaged groups. Limited access to vital things, money worries, and injustice in society can raise feelings of strain. The complexities of contemporary existence, like constant tech connectivity and an ever-connected world, have added fresh sources of strain experienced across the globe. This constant access can blur lines between work and personal time, which can then turn into higher feelings of strain. A complicated web. The mingling of older, more familiar causes and newer ones constructs a complicated web of pressure. This website affects people in separate ways, relying on personal circumstances and the environments in which they live. Focused models that recreate intense situations can aid in understanding reactions to social threats. However, considering the wider societal context is essential. The experience of pressure and ability to oversee it can be heavily affected by this context. Escalating demands and expectations. A significant contributor to modern stress stems from the sheer volume of demands placed on individuals. Today's work environments often demand peak performance, adherence to strict timelines, and the attainment of ambitious targets. This creates a climate of perpetual pressure, where individuals feel constantly overwhelmed and at risk of burnout, particularly when faced with excessive workloads. Investigations suggest that sustained stress can negatively affect both mental and physical health, contributing to conditions like anxiety disorders, sleeplessness, and muscular discomfort. The blurring of boundaries. Technology, while offering many advantages, has also played a role in the expansion of stress by diminishing the separation between professional and personal spheres. The constant accessibility afforded by email, instant messaging, and social networking can make it challenging to disengage from work, fostering an always-on mentality. This incessant connectivity can intensify feelings of pressure and make it difficult to keep a healthy equilibrium between career and private life. Constant connectivity can easily amplify stress, transforming it from a manageable state into a chronic condition. Time constraints and economic anxieties. The feeling of being constantly pressed for time, coupled with anxieties about financial security, also exerts a considerable influence on everyday stress. The belief of having insufficient time to conduct necessary tasks can generate a sense of being overwhelmed, while financial instability and indebtedness can trigger considerable worry about the future. Studies show that economic hardship can significantly impair mental well-being, leading to amplified levels of stress, anxiety, and depressive symptoms. The burden of interpersonal discord and health concerns. Conflicts in interpersonal connections and anxieties related to health can deplete emotional resources and intensify stress. Disagreements with family members, friends, or partners can be emotionally taxing, while personal or family health issues may cause considerable emotional fortitude and practical adaptability. Mindset is critical to stress, where individuals who perceive situations as difficult are more likely to experience stress. Effectively managing stress requires recognizing the impact of these factors and proactively working to lessen their effects. This might involve setting achievable aims, showing firm limits between professional and personal responsibilities, and seeking support from social networks or mental health experts. Individuals can mitigate the danger of chronic stress and improve their general well-being by embracing an initiative-taking approach to stress management. Small adjustments to daily habits can reduce stress and improve overall wellness. Regular breaks, mindfulness practices, and physical activity can aid in stress management. By prioritizing well-being, individuals can increase their resilience and effectively address the challenges of modern life. Work-related stressors. In the relentless churn of modern existence, a specter haunts the corridors of offices and the quiet corners of home workspaces alike: work stress. This pervasive condition extends its reach across national boundaries, changing not just how effectively individuals perform their duties, but also their holistic well-being and their enjoyment of existence. The contemporary professional landscape, with its intricate web of demands, often generates stressors that precipitate burnout and a decline in satisfaction. A confluence of elements feeds into the rise of work stress. Protracted hours, substantial assignments, and an ever-increasing burden of expectations serve as primary contributors. The recent economic downturn, both on a global and national scale, has had an association with an upswing in occupational pressure. This stems from the fact that uncertainties about employment and the intensification of labor often translate into heavier workloads for those still employed. A perceived absence of agency in work-related choices can substantially amplify stress, as feelings of powerlessness often correlate with heightened tension. Discording among colleagues, often arising from interpersonal conflict, can poison the atmosphere of a workplace, intensifying feelings of stress. The specter of potential job loss looms large as a potent stressor. Apprehension on layoffs casts a shadow over individuals' psychological states, diminishing their ability to concentrate. The dread of unemployment can give rise to anxious feelings, sapping motivation, and undermining efficacy. These anxieties create a negative spiral. The ramifications of work stress cascade outwards, inflicting damage upon individuals and organizations. Burnout among employees, diminished morale, and elevated rates of absenteeism are common manifestations. Chronically elevated stress may precipitate a cascade of physical ailments, spanning from cardiovascular complications and diabetes to mental disorders. To blunt the sharp edges of work stress, addressing its foundational causes within the work environment is vital. One approach involves instituting strategies that champion equilibrium between professional obligations and private life, granting personnel a greater influence over their job functions, and cultivating a supportive atmosphere. Individuals can also proactively manage their own stress by prioritizing tasks, scheduling regular breaks, and asking for help from coworkers and supervisors. Through comprehension of the origins and repercussions of work stress, individuals and institutions can proactively mitigate its detrimental consequences, fostering healthier and more productive work settings. With an escalating appreciation for the significance of employee welfare, prioritizing the management of work stress and constructing a workplace ethos that champion the mental and physical health of all workers is essential. Relationship and family stress. The home, often envisioned as a sanctuary, often doubles as an arena for considerable duration. The very fabric of kinships, woven with expectations and patterns of interaction, can unravel under pressure. The consequences of this strain can ripple through households, triggering alterations in feeling, actions, and channels of conveying thoughts and feelings that erode the bonds between people. A core issue lies in the difficulties stress creates in conveying thoughts and feelings, which leads to skewed feelings and misunderstandings. Deconstructing the roots of domestic disquiet, several factors can ignite unease within households. These range from set-up behavioral tendencies to unspoken rules and shared hopes. Skillful methods of dealing with disagreements are, therefore, indispensable for mitigating domestic friction. Discovering how to convey thoughts and feelings with candor and regard can diffuse tense situations. Studies reveal that transparent and considerate discourse is foundational for nurturing sound family ties. The burdens of caregiving, shouldering the responsibility of tending to others, is a frequent catalyst for notable strain. The dispersal of these duties and positing outside aid, however, can lighten this load. When those connected by blood or marriage divide the obligations of looking after others, the psychological and physical demands become more manageable. This lessens feelings of depletion and resentment. External help, such as community groups or professional in-home help, provide caregivers with crucial help. Financial pressures, monetary hardship can exert a heavy toll on families, making transparent conversation about finances critical. When household members are forthright about their monetary standing and collaborate on handling expenditures, stress diminishes, and unity grows. This might involve crafting a budget, defining financial targets, and reaching shared conclusions about economic priorities. Bolstering domestic fortitude. Understanding the multifaceted nature of domestic strain empowers people to proactively diminish its impact and cultivate a more nurturing and strong home setting. This can include honing abilities to deal with disagreements constructively, employing open and respectful lines of conveying thoughts and feelings, and accessing backing when necessary. Through united efforts, families can forge stronger, more resilient connections capable of withstanding trials. Strategies for easing domestic strain. To address domestic strain, remember the following tactics. Employ open and respectful lines of conveying thoughts and feelings. Hones abilities to deal with disagreements constructively. Divide caregiving obligations and look for backing when proper. Convey thoughts and feelings openly about finances and collaborate on expenditure management. Give precedence to personal well-being and seek help when needed. By putting these plans into action, individuals can take deliberate steps to soften the blow of domestic strain and nurture a more supportive and lasting domestic atmosphere. With commitment, families can erect stronger, more durable kinships that promote general well-being. Health-related stress factors. Stress, an unwelcome companion in the lives of many. While its presence is often attributed to work pressures or relationship conflicts, the subtle yet significant role of health issues in contributing to everyday stress deserves careful consideration. Health-related anxieties, whether stemming from personal illness, caregiving responsibilities, or the specter of future ailments, cast a long shadow over individuals and communities. Illness, in its personal manifestation, generates substantial duress. Managing symptoms, interacting with complex healthcare systems, and facing uncertain prognosis exact a considerable toll. The emotional consequences, often underestimated, manifest as anxiety, fear, and a pervasive sense of frustration. This is especially true for chronic conditions. Chronic conditions, such as diabetes or heart disease, set up a baseline for persistent stress. Successfully coping with and managing these ailments becomes crucial for overall well-being. Lifestyle alterations, including dietary adjustments, regular physical activity, and consistent medication intake, become necessary. The sheer burden of oversight can trigger increased stress. The possibility of complications and diminished quality of life further compounds anxieties. Caregiving introduces another dimension of health-related stress. Those who provide care for ill relatives often experience emotional, physical, and monetary strain, exposing a critical need for external support. Caregivers often set aside their personal needs, leading to burnout. The feelings of guilt, anxiety, and sadness are common and deeply taxing. The apprehension surrounding future health troubles also induces significant stress. Individuals with family histories of diseases or those with past medical issues are especially susceptible. This concern highlights the value of initiative-taking, preventative healthcare measures, and the adoption of wholesome lifestyles. Access to healthcare and its affordability exerts a strong influence on stress. The financial strain associated with medical costs and limited availability of services intensifies anxieties. The expense of care, medications, and specialized treatments can prove overwhelming. Unhealthy habits, such as poor diet and insufficient sleep, intensify stress levels. Prioritizing proper nutrition, regular activity, and adequate rest serves to mitigate stress and bolster well-being. Practices such as meditation can also provide relief. Global health crises bring widespread health-related stress. Pandemics highlight the necessity for coordinated responses and support frameworks. The COVID-19 event serves as an example of the impact on mental well-being, with increases in stress, anxiety, and depression. Understanding these connections allows individuals to adopt initiative-taking strategies for stress management and improved quality of life. Financial stress and anxiety in today's world, where economic landscapes shift and personal finances often feel precarious, financial stress stands out as a widespread challenge. Its influence permeates nearly every aspect of existence, from daily decisions to long-term well-being. Acknowledging its pervasive presence is the first step in addressing its impact. The weight of financial burdens casts a long shadow on mental well-being. Managing debt, grappling with economic uncertainty, and striving to meet obligations can trigger feelings of intense pressure, unease, and even despair. Recognizing the telltale signs of this type of stress is therefore essential for initiative-taking management. Such signs might include constant fretting about money, a sensation of being swamped by debt, or a persistent anxiousness connected to financial obligations. Early detection enables individuals to take decisive steps toward mitigating its effects. To counter financial stress, several effective approaches can be implemented. One fundamental tactic involves constructing a budget meticulously to track income and outgoings. This action brings clarity and a sense of mastery to financial matters, empowering people to make well-informed monetary choices. Budgeting helps pinpoint areas where spending can be trimmed and savings augmented, leading to a more secure financial position. Seeking guidance from financial advisors is another critical strategy. These professionals offer expert support and custom-made plans for overseeing debt, equipping people to face financial difficulties with greater assurance. Counselors can aid in investigating debt consolidation or various repayment options, which can substantially ease financial strains and lowers associated worries. For long-range stability, devising a long-term financial strategy is crucial. Such a plan aids individuals in setting realistic targets and moving toward financial independence. By setting explicit goals and designing a pathway to realize them, people can diminish the adverse consequences of financial stress and better their overall state. Taking charge of personal finances presents a potent means of alleviating money-related unease. With budgeting, seeking professional advice, and setting up long-range plans, individuals can get power over their fiscal situations. This mastery not only lessens immediate worries but also contributes to sustained security. As people strive for financial freedom, they can experience a considerable decline in stress, which promotes improved mental health. Ultimately, by understanding the impact of financial stress and adopting successful coping mechanisms, individuals can disrupt the cycle of financial anxiety and advance toward a more stable future. Time pressures and being overwhelmed in today's challenging environment, the feeling of being overwhelmed is a common ailment. Time constraints, a constant barrage of responsibilities, and the struggle to juggle work, family, and personal life contribute to a state where focus becomes elusive and productivity suffers. Managing these pressures is not just about efficiency, it is about preserving mental and physical well-being. One central element in managing both time and the sense of being swamped lies in prioritization. Concentrating on the tasks that matter most allows for a more effective allocation of energy. It requires discernment, a skill in distinguishing between what is truly urgent and what merely seems so, as well as the strength to decline requests that do not align with established priorities. This sort of careful evaluation reduces feelings of being out of control, placing one back in the driver's seat. Following this, setting up goals that are both realistic and in agreement with one's priorities is vital to avoiding distress. Expectations that stretch too far beyond reach create frustration and disappointment. Clear, measurable, and achievable goals instill a sense of direction and purpose, help support a balance between professional and personal life. Periodic review of these goals is important to ensure they are still both grounded and appropriate in the face of shifting circumstances. When confronted with large, seemingly insurmountable tasks, a useful technique involves dividing them into smaller, more manageable segments. This process, sometimes called task segmentation, allows one to concentrate on a single step at a time, diminishing the feeling of being overwhelmed and promoting a sense of accomplishment. Small victories, celebrated along the way, build both momentum and motivation, aiding progress toward larger goals. When possible, passing on duties to capable others can lighten one's load, freeing up time for those responsibilities that demand personal attention. Likewise, support from friends, family, or even a professional counselor can provide both emotional support and practical help. Recognizing the need for help and seeking it out is a strength, not a weakness. Self-care activities, such as regular physical activity, mindful meditation, or spending time outdoors, help one recharge and sustain both physical and mental health. Making self-care a priority builds resilience and boosts energy. Finally, downtime is essential. Allocating time for relaxation and activities that bring joy can mitigate stress, raise motivation, and improve well-being. Whether reading an enjoyable book, enjoying a walk, or spending time with loved ones, downtime serves as a vital opportunity to refresh and refocus. Chronic stress consequences in contemporary society. A relentless tempo often dictates the rhythm of daily existence, and sustained tension has become a prevalent feature. Its reach spreads considerably beyond mere momentary discomfort, exerting a noteworthy influence on both physical and mental states as time progresses. Grasping the ramifications of enduring strain is of the highest significance in formulating potent tactics to diminish its presence and nurture holistic well-being. Ramifications for physical well-being. Persistent tension brings about a tangible impact on the body's physiological workings, quickening the heart's tempo and intensifying blood pressure. This consistent triggering of the body's tension response mechanism has the potential to heighten the probability of meeting cardiovascular difficulties, such as cardiac episodes, cerebrovascular incidents, and elevated blood pressure. Studies have shown a heightened susceptibility to cardiovascular issues among individuals subjected to enduring tension, thus emphasizing the necessity of tension control as a preventative measure against cardiac ailments. Sustained tension can compromise the strength of the immune system, amplifying the body's vulnerability to contracting contagions and maladies. The immune system's defensive protocols experience debilitation under persistent tension, diminishing the body's ability to combat pathogens and recuperate from injuries. This immunosuppressive attribute of enduring tension emphasizes the relevance of overseeing tension degrees to uphold a vigorous immune response. Mental condition and emotional equilibrium. Unremitting tension can upset emotional stability, potentially giving rise to an array of mental condition complications. Apprehension and despondency often surface as consequences of sustained tension, as the body's response mechanism can meddle with neurotransmitter equilibrium and cerebral chemistry. The emotional toll extracted by enduring tension has the potential to be large, changing interpersonal bonds, occupational efficiency, and overall existence. Cognitive impairment resulting from sustained tension. Sustained tension can yield detrimental consequences on cognitive capabilities, exerting a negative impact on recollection, attentiveness, and capabilities about decision-making. Continuously prominent levels of stress hormones like cortisol can damage brain cells and disrupt neural connections, potentially leading to cognitive decline. This consequence of sustained tension upon the cerebrum emphasizes the imperative for tension administration methodologies to safeguard cognitive well-being. Dissolving the pattern of sustained tension. Perceiving the extensive repercussions of sustained tension upon overall well-being makes up the preliminary stride toward mitigating its ramifications. By embracing tension reduction methodologies, such as contemplation, somatic movement, and relaxation methods, individuals can start the dissolution of the sustained tension pattern. Such methodologies not only extend succor from tension but additionally cultivate resilience, augmenting the body's aptitude to grapple with trials and sustain holistic well-being. The global impact of stress. The modern professional sphere, while full of promise, also poses unique threats to personal health. A common challenge is tension tied to one's job. Such tension often stems from the demands of the work itself, arising from heavy workloads and imminent deadlines. The current global job market has grown more competitive. This competition brings greater tension, instability in employment, and longer work schedules. This heightened competition, combined with pressure to succeed, affects the equilibrium between work and life, where personal time is increasingly consumed by job demands. This can lead to exhaustion and reduced well-being as the boundaries between the two become blurred. The ubiquitous nature of technology further intensifies work-related tension by allowing constant connection, making it hard to detach from job tasks and keep a sound balance. The expectation of always being available can seriously affect mental health, requiring effective strategies for managing job-related tension. Job tension is widespread, affecting individuals in varied industries and cultures. It is seen at differing rates across regions. For instance, East Asia reports high tension because of long hours and fierce competition. In Europe, it is often linked to economic conditions and job security, which can affect overall work-related well-being. North America sees tension stemming from work norms that can demand and challenges in balancing personal and professional lives. Around the world, common causes include intense competition, long hours, job insecurity, and trouble balancing work and life. A severe result of unmanaged work tension is karoshi, or death from overwork, which originated in Japan and serves as a warning about the dangers of chronic work-related tension. In addition, job work, multi-generational living arrangements, divorce, parenting children with special needs, and economic instability can all create added stressors. Defining work/career stress. The modern professional landscape, while offering unprecedented opportunities, presents a unique set of challenges to personal well-being. One of the most pervasive of these challenges is work stress, an issue affecting countless individuals across the globe. It is the tension stemming from job-related pressures, often born from demanding workloads and pressing deadlines. The contemporary job market is marked by fierce competition. This intensification gives rise to increased work stress, feelings of job insecurity, and the expectation of extended working hours. The pressure to perform at ever higher standards, coupled with the always-on mentality, significantly contributes to an imbalance between professional obligations and personal life. This imbalance sees work encroach further into what was once considered personal time. Factors contributing to workplace tension. Several elements converge to generate tension in the workplace. Lengthy hours are one. So are heavy workloads. The sense of unstable employment is another, as are interpersonal conflicts with colleagues or superiors. A major issue is the expectation to remain constantly connected and available. This expectation harms mental health, emphasizing the critical need for effective strategies to manage work-induced tension. Integrating technology has intensified the problem. Constant connectivity blurs the separation of work and personal life, making it difficult to fully disconnect from job-related duties. Ramifications of unmanaged tension. The effects of unmanaged tension at work are wide-ranging, with substantial effects on a person's overall condition. The development of chronic tension can lead to burnout, decreased output, and weakening of the immune defenses. The dissolving boundary between the job and home life leads to decreased satisfaction, strained personal connections, and a decline in mental condition. The impact of technology. Technology's widespread adoption has reshaped how we conduct our professional lives. This transformation brings challenges, though. The expectation of constant connectivity makes it harder to disconnect from professional duties, supporting an always-on work attitude. This results in increased tension, decreased output, and poor work-life balance. Establishing boundaries between work and personal time becomes vital to counteract technology's detrimental influences on stress. Counteracting work-related tension. Fortunately, practical strategies can help manage tension stemming from professional duties. Setting clear boundaries between work and personal time is essential. Prioritizing self-care activities, like hobbies and relaxation, offers a crucial buffer. Seeking support from colleagues, supervisors, or mental health experts offers valuable coping mechanisms. By acknowledging the reasons for and outcomes of work-related tension, individuals can proactively address their workloads, mitigate stress, and boost their overall well-being. Prevalence of work stress. Globally, imagine a world where the daily grind feels less like a challenge and more like a burden. This is not a scene from a dystopian novel, it has the reality for many individuals grappling with the weight of workplace pressures. From the bustling streets of Tokyo to the corporate offices of New York, the specter of occupational strain looms large, casting a shadow over individuals and organizations. It has a worldwide issue, affecting people from all social classes, although its manifestations and intensities shift across geographical boundaries. Work-related duress is not a monolith, its features are shaped by the particularities of place. What sparks apprehension in one corner of the globe may be markedly different in another. For instance, in East Asia, a driving force is often the relentless pursuit of success, intertwined with prolonged hours. The work ethic in nations like Japan and South Korea is famed for its intensity, with employees routinely dedicating substantial time and energy, often resulting in considerable unease. The Old World sees concerns often tied to financial stability and the ever-present fear of unemployment. Surveys conducted across the European Union suggest that uncertainty about the future is a large contributor to worker affliction. Economic instability and austerity measures have only worsened these worries in certain European nations. Across the Atlantic, in North America, sources of stress are often connected to demand professional atmospheres and the difficulties inherent in achieving a harmonious balance between career and personal commitments. Surveys reveal that a significant percentage of adults report experiencing duress at work, citing lengthy schedules, substantial workloads, and a perceived lack of control as major factors. However, despite these regional distinctions, certain stressors appear to be almost universal. Intense competition is one. The constant urge to surpass peers and reach targets can be a substantial cause of anxiety for many. Similarly, extended working hours are a global culprit, often leading to burnout, diminished efficiency, and heightened worry. Job insecurity, a perennial concern, also consistently ranks as a major source of apprehension. Finally, the struggle to reconcile professional demands with personal life is a widespread problem, often contributing to dissatisfaction and reduced well-being. The ramifications of sustained work-related duress are considerable, affecting both individual health and organizational performance. Ongoing strain can precipitate reduced output, increased absences, and higher staff turnover. It also carries grave consequences for mental and physical health, potentially increasing the likelihood of cardiovascular ailments, anxiety disorders, and depressive conditions. Long working hours in Japan, karoshi, the relentless march of productivity, often hailed as a symbol of progress, casts a long shadow. Within that shadow lurks a stark warning, a cautionary tale etched in the annals of occupational hazard, karoshi. This Japanese term, chillingly translated as death from overwork, is not merely a linguistic curiosity, it is a grim reality, a testament to the deadly potential of chronic, work-related stress that stretches far beyond the borders of Japan. It throws into sharp relief the intense pressures and societal expectations surrounding work ethic, especially within Japanese society, where dedication to one's job can reach fatal extremes. In Japan, a deep-seated ethos of overwork has long been embedded in the social fabric. Employees often find themselves compelled to dedicate excessive hours to their jobs. This dedication, while sometimes lauded, can have catastrophic repercussions on both physical and mental well-being, leading to a disturbing array of health crises, from heart attacks and strokes to the despair of suicide. What are the forces that fuel this deadly phenomenon? The roots of garish are complex and interwoven. It is observable that Japanese companies often prioritize. That's your first step into breaking the stress cycle. Grab the full book by Lott on Artisy and Gumroad, and keep building your stress-resilient life, one breath at a time.